Annie. I'm a tutor with Greenhouse Learning, and I'm going to answer some questions about the 11 plus exam. So the 11 plus exam is an exam taken by students in Year 6 if they are hoping to apply to a grammar school or an independent school that requires it as a part of their admissions process. A child might be required to take an 11 plus exam if they are making that secondary school choice. So SATs are taken by all children in Year 6 and SATs test national curriculum materials, whereas the 11 plus is an optional exam that will apply if you are applying to a grammar or an independent school that requires taking the 11 plus, and it may also involve certain materials that are not covered in the national curriculum and that the child will need to prepare for separately. The 11 plus is an optional exam. The best way to figure out whether or not your child will be required to take the 11 plus is to look at the information available concerning the particular educational authority or school that your child is hoping to apply for their secondary education. The best way to prepare for the 11 plus is well in advance, so your child is comfortable and familiar with what will be required of them. A lot of students choose to start preparing 12 to 18 months in advance of the exam, or if you are preparing slightly closer to the time, you could take a more intensive approach with more hours a week. The amount of time that you spend every week preparing for the 11 plus will depend on how far in advance you've started your preparation. If you've started preparing, say, 18 months in advance, an hour a week plus set homework could be sufficient. If you've started preparing closer to the time, you may want to spend more hours a week preparing to give your child the best possible chance. The 11 plus exam is slightly variable, and the exact requirements and contents of the exam will depend on the school that you're applying to. So the biggest mistakes are assuming exactly what the exam will involve rather than finding out specific information and tailoring your preparation to the school that you're hoping to apply to. And so the best way to get around this is to find specific information and then to engage a tutor and make sure that your preparation is targeted and specific and going to be useful for that particular paper. So a tutor is there to give your child the skills and a toolkit that they can use to tackle 11 plus questions. So an example could be with non-verbal reasoning. Your child could be given a series of shapes and they could be asked to find the next shape in the pattern. This is not a type of question that most students will have done at school, and it's not something that over time they will have learnt how to approach, especially under time pressures. And so what a tutor will do is they will give students a toolkit, maybe an acronym, how to strategically, a step at a time, approach this question, things to be looking out for. Orientation could be an example, and something that not a lot of students will think about. And so when students find themselves in the exam, rather than staring at these questions, not being familiar with them, not understanding how to tackle them, instead what they will have is a really strong set of tools to approach them with confidence. Finding a tutor for your child can be tricky, and so Greenhouse Learning and Bristol Tutors have a bespoke tutor matching service where they'll talk to parents about their child's preferences, about their particular needs and learning needs, and the office staff here will help to match your child with a tutor who can best support them. The 11 plus is a variable exam and will depend on the school, but broadly will involve mathematics, English, comprehension and writing, verbal and non-verbal reasoning. And so beyond just the type of English and math that is learnt at school, verbal and non-verbal reasoning are key skills and things to become familiar with over time. A big misconception about verbal and non-verbal reasoning is that they are like IQ tests and they're not things that you can prepare for, which is absolutely not the case. And the students who do well on these exams are students who have had really adequate preparation well in advance. The best way to build confidence around the 11 plus is to be really well prepared. The biggest stresses around these types of admissions tests are not knowing what to expect, facing questions that you might not previously have worked on, and not having techniques and skills to tackle the questions effectively. And so working with tutors to practice answering a wide range of relevant questions and developing a toolkit to tackle them is the best way to feel relaxed and confident and to ultimately excel. Part of working with a tutor and preparing for an exam, as well as working on the materials, is also about learning how to manage time. And so a tutor will work with you to practice papers under timed conditions, to know when to move on from a question, when to make an educated guess, and also when to implement techniques for trial and error. And so when stuck on a question, the best thing that a child can do is refer to their sessions with their tutor and the advice they've been given about making an educated guess, moving on from a question, or using all the preparation that they've been learning. So the night before an exam, it's easy to stay up late, thinking that you can get in more revision and to be stressed and worried. But what we want is for students to have been preparing for their 11 plus well in advance and to be feeling really confident and assured that they have done everything they can do to have the best possible chance at that particular admissions process. So in terms of the night before an 11 plus, what you want to be doing is getting a really good night's sleep. So the night before an exam, it's easy to stay up late. The morning of the exam, what you want to do is have made a checklist in advance of everything that you might need to take with you. Maybe you might need to take some ID. You might want to take a calculator if it's allowed. Pens, pencils, a water bottle to stay hydrated, maybe a snack just before you go in. And you will work with your tutor who might think it's appropriate to create a bullet point of things or flashcards that it's essential for you to remember. And that is very individual to the student, and it will depend on the work that you've done with your tutor. So in terms of receiving your results from your 11 plus, again, this is really individual and specific to the teaching authority and to the school that you have made an application for. Generally speaking, a lot of 11 plus exam results do come out in October, around the same time that students will be applying to secondary schools, and then those matches will be confirmed around March. This is not always the case, and so the most important thing to do is to proactively be seeking information from the school that you're applying to and making sure that you have all the dates and deadlines in the diary. So, as I'd said, one of the biggest misconceptions about the 11 plus is that you can't prepare for it, and it's simply not true. A lot of these selection processes are becoming increasingly competitive, and many students do work with tutors and use preparation resources for their 11 plus exams. And so, the best way for your child to be able to make a competitive application is early on to engage support and to use all the resources and information available to them to make a really good application. So we hope that this has been informative and helpful, and if you are interested, we would ask you to head to greenhouselearning.co.uk or bristoltutors.co.uk for more information.